Thank you, Barry. Coming up next on The Beat Goes On, we welcome John Galvin from Fortuna Syndications. John wants you to join him and 20 others as owners of a beautiful young colt from champion sire Darcy Brahma. Be at the winning post to see your horse make you the proudest owner in New Zealand. It's my old friend John Galvin. Not too much of the old though, he's a very young man, isn't he?
Indeed, Jared.
How are you, John?
I'm very well, and you look great too, Jared. I enjoyed you singing on the show last week.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was good. We've had some great response to it too. So people say, gosh, a man of your age, can you still sing? And I said, well, what are you talking about?
Rod Stewart, he'd be older than you.
Look at Rod Stewart. Yeah, John, good to see you once again. And we've got viewers who have never seen The Beat Goes On and they wonder, what is John Galvin sitting there for? And I'm going to tell them now he's here because he's with Fortuna Syndications. And John, give us 60 seconds on what Fortuna Syndications are.
Well, Jared, people often ask me what I do, and I say we help people's dreams come true, because everyone that I know would like to own a share in a winning racehorse. And it's not easy, of course.
Yeah.
And so what Fortuna does is make it easy for people to get involved in racehorse ownership. We go to the sales, we use some of the best people in New Zealand to help us select horses that are what we call physically correct, that are capable of being good racehorses once they're ready to race. We then package those horses up into packages, we call that a syndicate, and we sell shares in those syndicates to members of the public. And you know, it costs a lot of money to buy a racehorse, and it costs a lot of money to train it.
But if you join in with a lot of other people?
For a small percentage, a 5%, a 10%, a 2.5% share, people can take a share in one of our horses and have all the thrills associated with owning 100% of that horse.
The horse we're talking about today is from a stallion called Darcy Brahma, and what a success he's been. So let's have a look at Darcy Brahma. How did you select him? Where did he come from? Why is he such a wonderful stallion?
Okay, well, Darcy Brahma had those attributes you talked about before. At the sales, he had a beautiful pedigree, what we call a blue blood pedigree. And so he was acquired by David Ellis, put together in the form of a syndicate, went to the racetrack, won 10 times out of 19 starts, 5 Group 1 races, which is the very highest level of racing, second 5 times in other Group 1 races. So he really had the racetrack performance that made breeders, that is the owners of mares, say that's the sort of horse we'd like to send our mare to one day to breed a new young horse. You've got to remember that only a very small number of male horses ever become stallions.
Now what happens? They get the unkindest cut of all, don't they? The snip.
Correct. Well,
the gelding snip.
Let's talk a little bit about stallion making, because this colt of ours that we're syndicating and we're going to be talking about today, the Darcy Brahma Spin and Grin colt, could be a stallion one day, provided he can meet 3 key points. The first key point he's already met. He has a lovely pedigree. He's by Darcy Brahma, out of a mare called Spin and Grin, who's a group winning mare. She has what we call black type, so he has the pedigree. The second thing is he himself has to be a really good horse on the racetrack, and we don't know that yet because he hasn't even been to the races. We've bought him on the expectation that he can be. And the third thing is we have to be able to keep him as a colt. Most colts get gelded as young horses because they are colty. And if there's any viewers out there that don't know what that means, it means think teenage boy, you know, the testosterone flowing and so on and so forth.
Boy races.
So the thing with this colt of ours, this Darcy Brahma Spin and Grin colt, is if we can get those other 2 parts of the equation right, then we can make a stallion of him. And to put that in perspective, if let's take a horse that, for example, has been bought for $100,000 and he goes on to be a Group 1 winner in New Zealand and Australia, a bit like It's a Done Deal was done this year that we've talked about on the show before, then as a stallion he could be worth about $10 million.
Yes.
All right. So it's a license to print money if you can get it correct. So there's 2 aspects to this, isn't there? We're inviting people to take a share in this racehorse so they can be part of a winning racehorse on the racetrack.
At that level. But then lurking in the background is this wonderful career as a stallion.
Potentially.
Wow. Right, John, we've talked about the possibilities, the potential. Now let's a little bit about this wonderful colt and how we can buy a share in this particular colt. Based on what we've just talked about.
Yeah, sure. Well, this colt is not expensive. I mean, there are people who go to the sales and spend $800,000, $1 million plus on well-bred horses. We paid nothing like that for this horse. But for $6,500, viewers can take a 5% share in this Darcy Brahma Spin and Grin colt. $13,000 for a 10% share, $3,250 for a 5% share, and then of course we have the ongoing costs, which are $300 a month for the 10% share, $150 for the 5%, and $75 a month for the 2.5% share. So it's not hard to get involved.
No, and look, we're just talking briefly on it today. You know, your job is to, when somebody gives you a call, you're going to go over all the details, go right in depth. I mean, there's wonderful history on all these horses, and that is what you do on a day-to-day basis, John. But
sure.
If they do make that phone call and give you a ring and say, John, tell me more about this wonderful colt that could go on to be a great stallion and user, could go on and win money at the races, what's the telephone number?
Yeah, I'd certainly encourage your viewers to do that. Give me a call and have a chat and find out more. We've got all the information that's available for the viewers to have a look at.
You can send email all the stats and everything like that.
Exactly. So, 0800 100 667.
100 667.
Or call me direct on my mobile, 021 921 460.
Yep.
And you can also visit the website, which is www.fortuna-nz.com. And you see pictures of this colt there on that website, as well as all the other normal information you'd find.
John, we're going to see you again in 2 weeks' time. It's always a pleasure. And until then, good racing.
Thank you, Jared.
Thank you, John. The Beat Goes On. We'll be back after the break with our special guest, Diane Brown.